Hey there, it's Coach Patrick from Endurance Nation. Welcome to our orientation meeting. This is a chance for you to meet me, the coach, and to learn more about how Endurance Nation works. My goal here in the next 15 minutes, I'll try and keep it as short as possible, to give you a sense of why Endurance Nation was built the way it is, how it works, how you can benefit, and help you understand if it's the right fit for you. So the backstory of Endurance Nation, if you'll indulge me for a second, back in 2007, after 4 years of coaching one-on-one, my business partner and I were kind of done coaching one-on-one. It was a lot of time. It was high dollar clients. We were charging $400 to $500 a month for coaching. Each of us had a stable of 15 to 20 athletes. The business worked, but there were a bunch of challenges inherent with it. First and foremost was that we were just having the same conversation all the time. So if I came up with a new idea for a test, I had to tell every one of the 20 people separately, email. Thank goodness we were past fax machines, but it was through an email and conversation and a phone call. It was 20 phone calls across each week, multiplied week after week after week. And while the process of interacting with people on a one-on-one basis was very rewarding, it was quickly outpaced by the fact that we were really struggling with just growing as an organization and growing our individual athletes. The way that we learn now in the 21st century here, starting 2022, where our conversation is happening, 2023 even, goodness me, is that we don't learn through one-on-one conversations. We have deep one-on-one conversations, but the majority of our learning is facilitated through the internet, through shared information. Whether you realize it or not, there's a lot of information sources that pull in, and these days we can kind of see all of that, right? If I'm talking to you and you have a point of view, you tell me that you listened to a podcast, which was hosted by a certain person, and she talked to a psychologist who said this, who interviewed an Olympic athlete who did that. And all of that knowledge, you can actually now, through the internet, go backwards and kind of trace all of that down and say, hey, where does this come from? Like, who are these people? What does it look like? How do we, sort of make sense of the information? What's the history of that information? All of that lives there. We're building that same thing here inside Endurance Nation. For the past 15 years, we've had an online community of athletes who do all sorts of races, triathlons, ultra run, gravel races, etc. But we do it in a very collective manner. So it works for you as the individual athlete with your training plans and your workouts and coaching support. But the conversations happen in a group, in a public room, in a space where you can share your knowledge and experience, but also learn from that of others. Not everyone likes that model. Some people like to have very private, very simple one-on-one conversations. We understand that, but that's not what happens inside Endurance Nation. Those conversations only benefit you. They don't benefit other folks. And inside our space, we're doing our best to create a large group of self-coached athletes, people who are, the folks who raise their hand on the local community of athletes and say, hey, I can help with that, or I know how to do that, or hey, you're new, try this thing. I've got a piece of advice for you, or who are you? Love to meet you, want to learn more about you. All of those different elements live there, and we grow stronger because of it. So we're not willing to sacrifice on that side, but we do find other ways to deliver value. So I'm going to take you over here to look at some slides real fast, so you get a sense of all the elements that I'm talking about. Okay, so bear with me one second here. Okay, so first up, coaching mission. Here you go. So the idea here, essentially, like I mentioned earlier, you're a self-coached athlete inside Endurance Nation. We want to make you be as successful as possible. The journey takes about 1,000 days, approximately 3 years, to get you from joining Endurance Nation to being 100% self-sufficient on your own in terms of knowing how to manage information, make the best decisions for you, identify the races that make sense, and chart your path. Many members still remain in the community. We have some people here on the team who've been with us for all 17 years. How involved you want to be beyond that initial learning curve is up to you. There's plenty of roles and opportunities to grow, to add value, to learn, to hang out with your friends and do cool stuff. All of that still lives inside Endurance Nation. But right now, as you start, I want you to understand that that's ultimately our goal. I'm not going to be with you on race day. I'm not going to be with you on that long workout. You need to be able to make decisions and be empowered to make those decisions on your own. Everything that we do is basically built around optimization for you as an athlete. So the way that it works for us is we start off with your training, right? We make sure that your training is dialed in. You tell us what your race is. We get all of that organized. We have training plans and Final Surge, and you get your daily workouts. You can complete them, sync it with Strava, all the good stuff, right? So we get that data going, and you get that consistency from day to day. The next layer on top of that is the coaching. That's where we begin to add value. At the Team EN membership level, also known as the program, you have a chance to come in and have conversations with Coach me and other Coach Matt and so on inside the community on a regular basis. Usually those kind of happen once a week, just checking in. We ask you to post a recap of your week, the highlights, the lowlights. We have key workouts that are flagged, and we also go through that process and making sure that we're keeping you on track with those regular milestones, right? So it's a good give and take. We help you adjust the plan and make sure you're on track. A large part of that then goes to learning. So as you go through the process of coaching, we're kind of micro teaching you in a way about different aspects that are very specific to you, your schedule, your goals, your discipline of choice, your blocks, right? Things that are in your way. We have macro lessons as well. So we have courses, we have seminars, we have recordings, we have books, we have articles, we have podcasts, we have user interviews, race reports. Hundreds of thousands of pieces of content exist inside the Endurance Nation ecosystem, and they all are accessible to you. So if you want to do a downhill marathon, you want to train for Boston, but you only live in Alaska, you want to go to Europe and do the Trans-Pyrenees race, you are going to Singapore and are concerned about heat adaptation, there's a brand new watch on the market from Garmin with solar charging and you want to know more. All of those answers exist here inside Endurance Nation. You don't have to go to Google and just search. Just like if you feel sick, you could go to Google, but you know about half the answers say that you're going to die, no matter what you have. And the internet's the same way for training as well. So Endurance Nation is a big filter for that, and your major educational sort of superpower as you navigate the space as an athlete. Becoming better as an athlete is really just learning from your experience, learning from your mistakes, getting rid of the mistakes, adding new experiences, and continuing to iterate so that next year you is 10% better than last year you, and then the year after that is another 10%. And those percents compound over time to where you get to a place where you have the fitness, the expertise, and the self-knowledge to be really fast and really successful at whatever your sport of choice may be. Okay? And then the last level is community. These don't necessarily always go in order, but the community piece is the big one. This is where you're sharing out your knowledge, where you're talking and sort of interacting with other members on the team, whether they're part of your closer circle in the team because they're in the same training group as you, or they're doing the same race as you, or they're geographically near you, right? Or if they're just someone that you've built a relationship over time, even though they live in Australia, you live in Japan, or you live in Idaho and they live in Scotland. There's plenty of relationships that build inside the team, and the community becomes an important fabric of who we are. And you'll see some of that in the images that I have here. So community is sort of the pinnacle in terms of a space where you get to take advantage of our philosophy of, sort of at one, plus one, minus one, right? So you have someone who's your peer, someone who you can go sort of head to head with knowledge or physically or whatever that variable may mean. You have someone who's a step behind you, someone who you can help out, teach them, how to execute that half marathon or help them make the right decision about a bike trainer. So they want to kind of talk through that process, right? So there's an opportunity for you to kind of lead others in that space. And then also that plus one as well, which is someone you can look up to, someone you can say, how did you, crack the 4-hour marathon window? How did you eventually, how did you complete the Comrades Marathon? Like, did you do both? Did you do the uphill and the downhill? What did that look like? How did you get there? People that you can learn from because they've gone before you. Plenty of trailblazers in Endurance Nation. We hope you become one of them. But it's an important part of how we do business as well. It's important for you to sort of understand that. On the community side, I've got a couple different pieces here, but I'll show you that in a second. What I do want to tell you very quickly is that the majority of our work, not just around optimization, is also return on investment, which is to say we emphasize quality over quantity. We want your training to work for you and your lifestyle. We want it to make sense, and we want it to be effective as well. So it's a tight line that we walk, right? Because you could always just add more and more training and quit your job and leave your family and just train and become a monk. No, not the thing. That's just not how we operate. So we use our key weekday workouts and our weekend volume sort of as two ends of a spectrum where we build your fitness. We allow you to be consistent during the week and effective, but on the weekends we try and take advantage of it, or whenever you have time, take advantage of some of the volume opportunities. Over the past 15 years, we've gotten really strategic about how we can make this work, and we've got plenty of options for you and training plans as well that you can work through as you think about navigating the space. The key for us is that the main set is really the main thing. So we have a main set for you in the workout. That's really what we care about. You don't do the warm up, you don't do the warm down, it's a skip a day. And I think we get it. Endurance Nation is the place where when life happens, we don't call you to yell at you because you missed your second swim workout of the week. We want you to reach out to us and let us know what's going on so we can help you out, understanding that we assume you're already solving these problems. And if you can't, you'd raise your hand and ask for help. That's how Endurance Nation works. And then we can help you navigate that space. There's no evil coach, bad coach, whatever you want. We're all part of the same family. We're athletes just like you. We get it. Sometimes things just go wrong. Life gets crazy. We can help you navigate that space, which I want you to know should be comforting to you and very reassuring in terms of knowing that there's literally over 500 athletes here who totally understand what's happening. It's a safe place where you can talk about these challenges. We can surface what they are and then help you identify solutions. The best part about doing it here inside of our, sort of private community is that by having those questions, by asking those questions, by having those answers shared publicly, we're all collectively learning. I may not realize that I've got like a gluten tolerance issue, but when there's a conversation going on inside the chat and I happen to eavesdrop on it and see it, a lot of the information that's resonating in there is resonating with me about my experience. It's actually informing me, even though I'm not in there, because I can see that conversation that lives inside an organization. I cannot express to you the value of that and the power of that in terms of making you a better athlete overall. And last but not least, we always increase effort before we increase time. In other words, we're very responsive to the needs of your schedule, and we try to do the best we can to keep the volume or the bigger work either in small blocks, like a big weekend every 6 weeks or something, or like a mini training camp, or in the last 12 weeks to your race. We have a whole season plan that we lay out and you'll move through it to the end of your race. Okay, super important for you to kind of know about. All right, let's see here if we can kind of get to this next one so I can make sure you can see everything. Yes, great. Let's talk community here for a second. We have a bunch of different types of community, so First and foremost, we have our chat application here, which is called Geneva. You have it on your phone, and you also have it here on the web. You can see on the side here, we have a bunch of different rooms that people can be in and talk in. The people talking about their bike workouts from this morning. Tim did a race that was terrible. He also raced last night as well because Tim loves to race for sure. We've got Rob's in Colorado this week. I was doing some racing on Sunday. You can kind of see all of that. We have the Dirt Squad, which is the off-road people, right? Talking about Mount Mitchell and snow on Mount Mitchell from climbing. Some people getting a new bike, all of that stuff, right? To the Run Squad, where people check in about the run and their run streak. We have plenty of run streakers inside here, so you can see, which is fantastic. Scott Imlay just did 100 miles. Where is it? Here we go. He did 108. He did another 100 miler, Grandmasters Ultra, here as well, in his late 60s. Phenomenally inspiring. So the group is very diverse into it. We have our swim squad, we have our ultra squad as well. Mark sharing some fun laughs here. I love that stuff. So funny. So a lot of the sort of just check-ins, where things are at, checking the team, that happens here in Geneva. Now we have a deeper community aspect as well, which is like our forums. And this is inside here where you have like your coach spaces that live inside here as well. And then we also have other resources for you as well. It's like our announcements, the events that are coming up, how-to items, right? We have coach spaces for talking with the coaches. We have our key race section here as well for the different groups where people are coming in and out of. And this looks a lot like your traditional items here, right? So we have people posting and commenting inside here, having conversations about how to help one another out. What does it look like? People preparing from week to week, all of that lives here. So if you're moving beyond the like, hey, everyone, have a great day, and you want to learn more, we come inside here. One of the biggest elements we have inside here, we have the key races piece that lives inside here. Where's the other one here? Here we go. Like our race plans and race reports. People sharing out the race reports, like what happened in Ironman Arizona, so we can learn everything that happened. People can kind of go back and forth on it. Super important. So we're in there, and also our race plans. What's our strategy? Here we go. This is Scott who just did that race I told you about. Here he is. This is what his plan is. This is what he's going to do. His goals, the different scenarios, the things that he wants to deal with, what his strategies are. Again, if you're someone who's new to ultra or new to doing 100 miler, this is gold. Like to get all of this, to know that this is here, to start from this position. You're always picking up where the last person in Endurance Nation left off. You can, click on Scott. You can send him a message. You can find him on Strava. All of that different stuff, right? 1958, legendary. Very, very cool. So all of that lives inside here, and you get to tap into that and access it. Okay. So that's the community side of it, which is very accessible, always on. In addition to that, you have support from me as well. And that lives inside coaching from our Monday office hours and our Wednesday on call. So every Monday at 8 p.m. East Coast time, I have an hour where I'm available to talk about any and anything you want to do about training. It's generally more social and fun. And then we also have our Wednesday on call session here, which is during the day. It's actually during this time right now, where people can drop in and ask questions, and I'll answer them there as well. It's a little bit more professional, I guess, during the midweek version of it. But there's 2-hour periods during every single week where you can connect with me when you want. So we keep it very simple. Instead of going back and forth and trying to schedule calls, either the morning or the midday, you can make it work and get in there. Of course, you can always send messages through the site, but to talk one-on-one, it's all right there and very easy. Okay. Beyond that, we do have our site here. I'm going to just start with some other elements first, but just so you know, there's plenty of resources here. We've got our race execution resources that live inside here. We've got our race specific pages that live inside here. Hold on, I can't get to them. Hold on a second. For some reason, I'm not getting to them. They're kind of blocked. But our race specific pages all live inside here for like the half, full triathlon pages if you wanted to get into that stuff. On the resources side, we have lots of options from our different courses to our seminars, which have been run by our members inside the team. You can learn from our podcast or our blog, etc. There's many other items. Of course, we have our store and our team discounts and all the usual stuff that goes into a team. But this is your resource home. So when you interface with Endurance Nation, you have 4 points. Right? You have your training plan on Final Surge. You have the website full of resources that you see here in the member site. And then you have 2 different community options, the sort of let's just what's going on, Strava comment type section, and deeper dive, want to ask questions, want to learn more, what does it look like inside the Circle community. We cover all the bases for interaction, so you're ready to go, and depending which way you want to go, and you have all those options, right? So you can kind of get inside there, okay? All right, let me stop my, before I do that, here, last thing to show you. These are some pictures for you to sort of understand the phases in terms of how things work inside the team. When you do sign up with us, we'll ask you about your race for the season, and we'll use that to set up your plan. Make sure you're all set with what those are. And on the way, you sort of start off to like learn what are the things I need to work on? What am I making? Is it a new race for me? Do I need a new piece of equipment? What do I need to know about this race venue, etc. And then, we plug you into the community, people doing the same race, doing the same sport, live in the same area, etc. This is kind of like a phase 1 sort of micro step inside the team. So your training's taken care of. You've got your workouts that you need to know. You've got the key things you want to focus on based on our conversations, and you get aligned with some people who are there. Once you are kind of through that early phase, we go to beginning to thinking about your season, right? How do we be more critical about the whole year? When we do your plan, we go through these 5 phases every single time, from the beginning of the season to the winter training, which is happening now inside the team. Specificity, is it bike focus? Is it run focus? Is it something different? And then we move on to the rest of the time, okay? Beyond that, then we can go into, hey, at the end of that first year, let's find things that worked and things that we can improve on. We do sort of a macro level analysis with you, we identify things that you can work on. We find places where you can really kind of level up and go to the next sort of stage of your progress, and then help you kind of iterate through that developmental process, right? Then from here we go on, evolve. Like, hey, do you want to keep doing the same sport? You've been through the progression 2-3 times. You've done 5 Ironman races or 4 ultras, and you want to go try something different. Let's evolve. How do we move beyond that? How do we go something different? What does it look like to take the fitness you have and the experience you have and grow out some more? Okay. All right, there we go. So all in total, just so you understand, Endurance Nation, 500 members. They range in age variability from about 25 to about 75. The kind of median age is, I would put as 45 to 60. Kind of most spaces are there. We are 60-40 in terms of male to female ratio of members. And we have an 80-20 split in terms of 80% of the team just kind of hangs out, 20% of the team is talking and engaging. So you don't always have to be all in and chatting and texting and answering text messages. Endurance Nation goes on, and when you're ready to plug in, some people plug in once a week, some people plug in once every 2 days, some people plug in every single day. I do, it's my job, so I check in every single day, but you don't have to. It depends on what it is you're interested in. So sometimes people will just plug in for those last 3 months for their race, or as they're thinking about a race selection, or when they're buying a new bike or whatever that is. So they'll use the training and they use Endurance Nation sort of sporadically in ways that it benefits them. The key here is that you know that you're not alone, that you're building on the experience and the lessons learned from the entire team. Your training plans are updated every single year. You have access to me and to the other coaching staff, great discounts as well. It's a really fun sort of laid back environment. But like I said earlier, there's a couple non-negotiables out there. First and foremost, that we are community focused. So we'll have conversations in a space. You want to talk about the cramping issue, you want to talk about lactose intolerance, you want to talk about buying new pairs of shoes, that's fine. We'll talk about anything. We want to do it here where other people can eavesdrop, listen, and learn. So very important to know that. Second piece of it is that we're not a great place for people who are just starting. So you've never done your first triathlon, or you've never owned a bike before, or you're doing something you just have no idea what it's about. Coming off the couch, like literally like born, grew up on a couch, live on a couch, now you want to do some kind of race. We are not the best fit for you. There's a lot you need to learn in terms of like equipment, form, technique, scheduling. There's a lot of friction inside of that. We are better for athletes who've done at least a few races and are familiar with what it means. They own some equipment. They kind of know what they're doing, but they want to know more. They want to explore their options. They want to get better. They want to go deeper into the rabbit hole. Endurance Nation is fantastic for that. All of our people live inside some kind of rabbit hole or another, and you'd be able to take advantage of that. When we have someone who starts with the team who's just completely new, the learning curve is just too steep. It's not really effective, and so it's definitely something for you to think about. Right? Okay. And last but not least, you're someone who's pretty technologically savvy. You've got a Garmin watch. You know how to upload data. You understand where to like use workouts and read workouts. You don't have a problem getting out the door and doing your workouts, although maybe we need to change the style of workouts you're doing or the location or the duration, but you've been training and racing before. I kind of was tempted with the idea of saying, hey, you've got to submit a race registration before you can join the team. So we know that you're serious, but you really sign up for a race and we're not just making up some ideas, because we map out your whole season when we start. I never really went that route, but the lesson there still holds, which is having a race, having a target, having some experience. Those are good prerequisites for the best possible experience inside the team. Okay. So if you do have further questions, you can always find us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We're also available here on the website. If you just come to endurancestation.us, a little chat pops up and you can chat us inside there. It will find me and I'm happy to talk to you there as well. And a couple of times a year, depending on the time of year and maybe monthly, we have opportunities to come join the team where you can come in and give us a shot. We have a 30-day money back guarantee. So if it's not working for you, if you don't like it, we're happy to refund your money and make sure you're good. We only want the right people to be here. But these are the people that you'll be training with for the next couple of years, right? You're going to grow alongside of people who geek out about the same things you do, want to go to the same places. They want to go to Spain or Italy on a cycling camp. They want to meet and do rim to rim for fun in the fall in Colorado in the Grand Canyon. They read the same books. They buy the same shoes. We're the place where you can talk about all those things that your friends and family, they're kind of tired of it now, but you're not. Neither are we. We're here. We're growing as a team. We're diversifying into different sports. It's a wild ride. I started off as a runner. I rode in college as in a boat, moved to becoming a runner. I did my first marathon abroad when I was doing international development. From there, I came back home. My brother had done an Ironman, so I did my first triathlon and signed up shortly thereafter and did my first Ironman in 2001. Have not looked back. I've done over 30 Ironman races, a bunch of Boston marathons and other types of events. While my passion for Ironman remains strong, the racing with the pandemic has shifted to doing gravel races and exploring the dirt and doing different things like that. So I'm super excited to bring not only my diversity of interest to you, but also the cross-disciplinary lessons that I've learned and the value that you'll also get from a team that's walking that same path. We're excited to meet you. Please don't be shy. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.